Ubisoft has tried to convince everyone from gamers to investors that Assassin's Creed Shadows is going to be a smashing success for them, and they have all of these plans for things like DLC going forward. But the new word on the street is that Ubisoft has sold about 300,000 pre orders for Assassin's Creed Shadows, which really isn't good compared to other games in this franchise's launch. But before I get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, join the community in my live streams, and consider supporting through Patreon or YouTube memberships. Now, obviously, Assassin's Creed is a major name, and there are going to be plenty of people out there who just buy it because they've loved previous Assassin's Creed games. And while 300,000 pre orders might sound relatively good, it still really isn't compared to other releases in this franchise. Now, there are always going to be a lot of normies out there who are not paying attention to Gamergate 2 and the culture war, who do not understand the complexities with the Assassin's Creed Shadow situation, and people who just really aren't paying attention to social media. They don't see all of the controversy, but it definitely is there. If you have spent any time online and looking at news in the gaming sphere, you've seen something about Shadows, from the reenactment group's banners to the very insensitive new release date to the Yasuke and Noe collectibles statue where they were sitting on a one-legged Torii Gate 2. Even Shrine officials now coming out and demanding the landmarks be removed from this game. But now a new rumor is alleging that Ubisoft has sold around 300,000 pre-orders for Assassin's Creed Shadows. So according to Tom Henderson at Insider Gaming, Shadows currently has around 300,000 pre-orders. He also went on to reveal that the most recent Ubisoft release, Star Wars Outlaws, had less than half the pre-orders Shadows currently has in the same time period before launch. Now, if you do take a quick peek at this article, it does leave a lot of questions, right? There's a lot of things that we do not know, like, is this of course only digital? Is this digital and physical? We don't have any solid information in regards to what these numbers are really reflecting. One would assume, though, that this probably is, yes, ultimately all of the numbers combined. He has been somebody who's released information in the past and has been pretty correct. But when you're looking at something like Assassin's Creed Shadows versus Star Wars Outlaws, that is not a comparison that at this point in time Ubisoft would want to see, because they had said that Assassin's Creed Shadows is supposed to be their next big game on the block, but Star Wars Outlaws was a failure. That game underperformed, they have admitted several times now. So that really is a major red flag for them. We are talking about Ubisoft, a company right now that is definitely struggling. They can't seem to really make content that's resonating with gamers. They can't really seem to find a way to move forward where they're making lots of money. I mean, all of the projects they had lined up that were supposed to be around for years are basically dead now. Skull and Bones was a quadruple A failure. That was supposed to get years worth of updates and be a big, expansive live service title. X Defiant was supposed to be a Call of Duty killer, and they only made it a couple of seasons, and they already have announced that they're killing the game. Star Wars Outlaws was supposed to be a very standard single player experience where they might release 2 or 3 rounds of DLC, but that was it. And we don't know what's happening on that front anymore. And Assassin's Creed Shadows obviously has been delayed multiple times. There was a rumor going around that it was going to be delayed yet again. That was proven false, in case anybody is wondering. But with Assassin's Creed Shadows, they really need this to be a smashing success, and so far things aren't looking particularly great for them. It's still in kind of worrying territory. If this was just another release for Ubisoft, sure, these pre-order numbers might sound pretty good for them, but this is a game that the future of their company is riding on the success of. Ubisoft has been struggling for such a long time, and they have pumped hundreds of millions of dollars into this game. And if this fails, I don't see a way that they can come back from that. They need this to do as good as it possibly can. They need this to make $1 billion freaking dollars so they can attempt to turn things around within this company. And I just really don't see that happening at this point. But Henderson also compared the pre-orders to Assassin's Creed Odyssey, noting that the game sold between 400,000 to 450,000 copies by its release day, meaning those were pre-orders. So right now, Assassin's Creed Shadows isn't doing particularly good compared to Odyssey's numbers. Now, we are still a month away, but keep in mind this game has been delayed twice. They had already refunded the pre-orders before, so right now they are still kind of struggling to build back up. And again, I think that this game is still going to sell because there are a lot of normies out there who do not really follow the culture war, people who have loyalty to the franchise name, but I do think that there are still going to be a lot of people who stay away from it and a lot of people who criticize it. And when we're talking about very awful pre-order numbers, we're looking at something like Star Wars Outlaws. We're looking at other games, not even just from Ubisoft, like Dragon Age The Veilguard. This was only a couple of months ago, but it was funny as ever. Zelda Echoes of Wisdom physical pre-orders had actually outsold Dragon Age The Veilguard 20-1. Now, Zelda is obviously a giant name. Dragon Age was still a very beloved franchise, but we see what they did with Veilguard, how disappointed people were in that, and, well, when it comes to a not controversial game versus a controversial game, we can clearly see what wins out in the end. We also knew that the retail pre-orders were 3 times less than Star Wars Outlaws and Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, and from what we understand, Star Wars Outlaws weren't even that good because the game did, in totality, underperform. Now, will this game underperform? We don't know, but according to the information that's been leaked, they've put a lot of extra money into it just because of the delays. Now, this is also a brand new article. Ubisoft sparks fears of financial collapse and alleged investor deception as Assassin's Creed dev works hard to spin the financial ruin as a positive. Of course, a company's going to do this. They want to be able to tell investors they're doing great and this is all according to plan and things are going to turn out well for them. But we can clearly see that Ubisoft is struggling. Right now, they have lost so much value. They have lost so much consumer trust. I really do not see a way that they could magically turn things around unless for some reason Assassin's Creed Shadows ends up being an amazing game and the next games to follow are also really good. But Ubisoft doesn't even have a lot planned at this point in time. Again, they were really banking on live service games with updates every couple of months, and all of those games have died for them, so I don't know what the hell they're going to do, but they need to figure it out quickly. It talks about how the Ubisoft Q3 FY25 earnings report confirms what many have feared: the company's financial troubles are only getting worse. However, there is a notable caveat. What is being conveyed to investors in the earnings call does not fully align with the grim reality presented in the actual report. In fact, the way that Ubisoft is framing its situation to investors feels misleading at best and outright deceptive at worst. The brutal reality as outlined in the report is that Ubisoft's net bookings have plummeted by 51.8% year over year in Q3, with total net bookings for the first 9 months of FY25 falling 34.8% to just 944 million. Digital net bookings dropped 33.8%, while player recurring investment, a key metric for live service games, fell 33.7%. But instead of really trying to be honest and say, hey, listen, we're struggling right now, they really just want to mislead investors, probably because they are so desperate to stay afloat right now. And if they tell investors the truth, if they actually paint the very grim picture, people are going to back out and no longer support them, and they are going to go under even quicker than they already are. So, of course, we still have a few more weeks until Assassin's Creed Shadows releases, and things are not really looking good for Ubisoft or the AC team. I wonder if they'll put themselves into the middle of any other controversies, or if we will hear any other alleged leaked numbers. Take everything with a grain of salt, of course, but right now it sounds like the Assassin's Creed Shadows pre-orders are not the worst, but they are also also not the best, especially for a game that the future of a company is riding on. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this, give it a like, and if you didn't, give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I'll talk to you all again in the next video really soon.